The Big Issue. Breaking down the issues that matter.
Hello, everyone. You're welcome to Leadership Podcast. It's another edition of The Big Issue. First of all, let me just apologize for coming at a time our viewers wouldn't have expected that we will be live. Due to certain unforeseen circumstances beyond our control, that is why we skipped the 5 o'clock usual time for the Big Issue program. But all the same, we are here. And as usual, I'm your regular host, George Agba. And of course, with me here in the studio, our very vibrant in-house analyst. And of course, you know, a man that one wouldn't even be bothering himself to be introducing every day, because he is Big Issue and Big Issue is him. I'm talking of Silas Ezogu.
Welcome today.
And of course, we have the economic analyst of the century here, Mark Isibo.
Thank you very much.
And the big issue for the day is CBN's new withdrawal limits. 2023 polls and matters are rising. The Central Bank of Nigeria again shocked Nigerians. Yesterday, with new withdrawal limit, it's set. And this is actually coming not quite long after the Naira redesign trended in the country, especially when most Nigerians were beginning to question the idea of changing colors of Naira and say it had been redesigned, although the CBN has said it's just beyond the color change, that there are some chips inside that makes it hard for anybody to do counterfeit of the money. Well, we give them kudos for that. But now, the Central Bank of Nigeria introduced new cash withdrawal limits for banks and other financial institutions. The new policy, of course, followed the recent currency redesign project, in which it had expressed concern over the high volume of cash outside the banking system. Under the new dispensation, the central bank restricted the maximum cash withdrawal over the counter by individuals and corporate organizations per week to 100,000 naira and 500,000 naira respectively. This is just as the directive on the new cash withdrawal limit also had a situation where the withdrawals above the thresholds will attract processing fees of 5% and 10% respectively for individuals and corporate entities going forward. In addition, third-party checks above 50,000 shall not be eligible for OTC payment, while extant limit of 10 million on clearing checks will still remain. The new regime also pegged the maximum cash withdrawal per week via ATM machines at 100,000 naira, subject to a maximum of 20,000 naira cash withdrawal per day. And also only denomination of 200 naira and below shall be loaded into ATMs, while the maximum amount that can be withdrawn via point of sale, that is POS terminal, is limited to 20,000 naira per day. But the Apex Bank stated that in compelling circumstances, not exceedingly once a month, where cash withdrawals above the prescribed limit is required for legitimate purposes, such withdrawals shall not exceed 5 million and 10 million for individuals and corporate organizations respectively, and shall be subject to the reference processing fees. And this will be in addition to then an enhanced due diligence and further information requirement. But this, as it is, though it sounds as if it is a move to strengthen the Naira, but there are Nigerians who are saying that this is an apparent move to scuttle any form of vote buying, rigging in the 2023 polls. And the moves by Central Bank of Nigeria coming in succession is beginning to raise eyebrows. And in the political landscape, money bags politicians are completely upset. And the idea is that they will make the electoral process free and fair and very difficult for money bags to engage themselves in vote buying and other form of electoral malpractice. But before we begin to look at it to really know what the CBN is actually up to, I think Mark would actually put us in the right perspective. Whether the moves by CBN is something that is actually done to strengthen the Naira, the country's currency, and the nation's economy, or it has some political undertone, like preventing money bags. Mark, what do you think?
Well, thank you very much.
First of all, it was Naira redesign.
Yes.
They redesigned it, and we started seeing how the Naira changed color.
Yes.
Now we are seeing the idea of withdrawal limit.
I think for me, these are all welcome developments. Both the redesigning of the Naira and the new money tightening policy. Yes. These are two urgent. These are things that, in fact, these are two urgent steps that would have been taken as at yesterday, not even now, because we, as a nation, in fact, we have been in the same place. We keep doing the same thing, expecting different results. People are talking of money laundering, and which has hampered our economy. We're talking about counterfeiting of our only currency, that is our national interest, and we don't have anything more than the money. So the redesigning of the Naira comes very handy, and for me is very good for the economy, because like you looked at, okay, let us look at take the euro, for instance. The euro, Europeans don't easily see the 500 euro,
Even dollars.
So you hardly see the highest denomination of it.
Yes.
And that is what the CBN is saying, that it now wants to make the higher denomination of the currency difficult. Apart from changing the color or the security in it, the color making it different physically, and the security making it difficult for people that are counterfeiting or doubling the money to do so. So apart from what we see, what about the commonness? Let me use the word commonness. The regular availability of the highest. What is my people used to say that because it is easy to see a cow, that is why people don't consider it as a wild animal. You understand? And so, for me, the redesign of Naira is a welcome development. And then you talk about this recent one on policy tightening. They call it money policy tightening, because by the time you do that, you are making it difficult for people to carry cash. And carrying cash is one of the major problems we are having. Of course, let me just tell you, we should expect these things between now and the election times. Let me tell you. So I expect the CBN to come up with more drastic actions like this, or policy actions like this, that will make a remarkable impact on our economy. Because what was done yesterday was to make it difficult. For instance, I don't want to go into the election. Okay, let me start. This will help to control inflation. Of course, you remember the elementary definition of inflation.
Yeah.
Too much money chasing too few goods.
Yeah.
You understand? And so once we are saying that things are expensive, you have money, the money does not have any value, no worth of it. And so it means that, and the CBN has been crying that there is too much money in the circulation. And this money are even outside the banking vaults. So where is this money? People are hoarding this money. People are keeping the money for election for whatever purpose. You see, somebody will come to the bank, come and withdraw 5 million naira. Do you understand? And so where is it done? So this will help to curb inflation, because there will be not too much money in circulation. And this will also drive down financial inclusion. And this will also help. This will also help in, if it is faithfully implemented, this will also help in building the Nigerian economy. Because we can now, the CBN, all the financial authorities, the monetary authorities, and even the federal government, and even the anti-graft agencies can now track money. You can now locate where the money is. So for me, it's a welcome development. But my fear is whether the CBN will be able to follow through with it, whether they are going to be faithful to it, or whether at the end of this month, at the end of the current governor's tenure, whether the next administration and the CBN will
keep faith with
it.
Thank you very much, Mark. Silas, you heard what Mark has just said, but good and fine. He's telling us how this will actually benefit the economy, strengthen the Naira. But and especially in respect of what he said about even making it difficult to see our highest currency like 500 naira
1,000.
and 1,000 naira. How do you expect that kind of a thing to work in a developing country like Nigeria that is not organized? The institutions are weak compared to developed countries like the United States that has a a currency regime where you hardly see the highest currency, or you're talking of the euro. It would have been a very good development, but do you see that actualizing in a country like Nigeria?
Yes.
With it many failings in terms of institutional.
Yes. George, the thing that America didn't get to where they are, where it is in one day. They must have tried this and tried that, failed, and retooled their system to get to where they are. So I'm thinking that, like many people have said, it's a good policy. We have to start somewhere. It's going to have certain challenges, especially with largely illiterate audience and the population. But the only issue Nigerians shall have with it is that they are coming thick and fast. Okay, people are still trying to get to terms with the general design. Okay, that one is still on board. Then this one comes.
We have not even seen the new naira in circulation.
So all of them are coming out at the same time. So that's why I'm looking at people are going to be kind of shell shocked, to manage to fit into this, especially where this financial inclusion has not really been trickled down to the grassroots the way it should. A lot of people don't have access to internet banking. So them who are in far-flung places, we don't know how they're going to even get, I was reading a column where the column said there are some local governments like 5 or 6 or 7, but there's not even a bank at all. So for them to even change their currency, they have to travel far away or look for POS, and they're not even later available. So that's the only thing that, it came thick and fast. There was no much preparation of people towards it. So, and from the story that we carried, it was obvious that it was a kind of knee-jerk reaction to something. The story that we had was that certain elements from certain parts of the country were trying to move something as much as 45 billion away from the banks through different funds. And CBN now, it's possible they might be thinking about it in the past. They now quickly brought on this policy to frustrate that. Okay, so the first thing that pinched me then was, are you making a policy because of one incident? Is it well thought out? Because I'm not an economist, okay? But to our politicians, or political animals, also economic animals too, So my first concern was it thought through? Okay, if this matter is, if for instance it was targeted at stopping those who may use it for election purposes, what after the election? Are we still going to continue with it, or will it have served its purpose? Okay, the challenges of even sensitizing people about it, because it's starting so quick. I think on the 9th. Yeah, on the 9th.
And then bringing that on the 6th or what? So is 3 days enough time to get this message down to all the bank and bank people across Nigeria? So that's my own concern, that it came in like a boat from the blue, and I don't know how much time that they need to, you need to send this message down to the grassroots. We live in urban area. We also in the media, so we can easily get information. It's not as easy for other people who do not have, who are not in the line of business to have. So it's so a lot of people are going to get chest shocked when they cannot withdraw certain money, and people have to start explaining to them and all those ones. So is this timing that I'm talking about, it's too short? People will not give enough time to learn about it, and then the actions, the policies,
but if you ask
coming in succession too.
So
there was a target for it.
But if you ask me, if you talk about the time, it really does not have anything to do with the bank customer. Do you understand? For instance, a customer in the hinterlands or in the villages, the rural areas, who may have been having access to bank or a bank establishment, can still go there. It's just a matter of you fill your form and maybe you write above 100,000 naira, and they tell you, okay, for us to pay you this money, it will attract 5% of your money. Okay. You understand? So they don't really need to be the one operating it. But the issue is that the main idea, if you ask me, what I see the CBN is doing is trying to drive this digital e-transaction, electronic transfers. You understand now? Those electronic transactions, yes. Because the issue is that we have to be fair to them also. They have tried even with the e-naira, they have broken it down to the extent that even with USSD you can operate on e-naira platform. Yes, Nigeria is relatively
slow to catch up.
Yes, and then we have this large number of literacy. You understand now? And so, and it may make it difficult. That's why I say as a challenge. But for this particular one, this new policy on limit on withdrawals, cash carrying, and the rest of them, you don't really need to be a professor or a scholar to know. It's just for you to, okay, I want to withdraw 100,000 naira. Okay, if you withdraw this 100,000 naira today, you wait until next week before you can withdraw. You understand? And that does not stop you from doing transfers from your phone. You can still use your token to transfer 1 million naira, 5 million naira. You understand now? So what the essence is to track funds. Is to track funds to make sure, okay, if this money moves from this account to this account, we say, okay, this money has moved from this account A to account B, and then who is sending, who is authorizing. So you can now put face to what you are seeing. Unlike cash that is outside, corruption is very, very easy with cash. Money laundering or counterfeiting, whatever you call it, is very easy with cash. But if you take away cash from it, you bring everybody to the system. Everybody will be careful.
Thank you very much, Mark. I think you've actually made a point there, because naturally, of recent, we've even seen viral videos showing where they intercepted, I think one had to do with a politician, a candidate for the 2023 election in Kogi State. They went and intercepted. What they got from there was physical cash, bundles of cash, loaded, stacked.
Was it 1.4 billion?
You see? Physical.
That's an abuse of our national currency.
Honestly, that alone should let an individual who keep that kind of money.
You were in this country where you hear somebody move the bullion van.
Yes.
Filled with cash. And the person was not remorseful. You understand? True, for that matter. And the person was not remorseful. And we are talking of building a nation. Let us build a nation. Okay, look, okay, we're not saying you should not own this money. You are a big man, you are big enough to own this money. But the issue is that put it in the system. Let the system recognize it. Let the system help you distribute the money. So that when the money is moving, you can trace the money. For instance, they call the money that were distributed through that bullion, but nobody knows where the money went to today. Yes. Whether the monies were all distributed or whoever got what, we don't know. But the system has to know. That's how we can track corruption. That's how we can track funds. That's how we can ensure sanitization of the financial system. Nigeria is ripe for everything good. The only thing Nigeria is not ripe for is anything bad. Let us build a system.
Yes.
Let us start.
Yes.
Where we are moving, whatever hiccup we meet, we will rejig, we will reformat, and we'll face it.
Thank you very much.
One of the good things about it is also the actual issue of this. The higher information being scarce, because I remember when we did a story, we tried to sensitize the CBN to the idea of putting fewer, smaller donations in the ATM, so that you have smaller donations for transactions. But if you go to it, it's just 1,000. And you sometimes travel, the quarrel with drivers and conductors in the market. Sometimes you have to leave big change for somebody because you cannot split the money. And it makes the money more.
They make it look as if 10 naira is no longer illegal.
And because of that, you see how it costs inflation. Yes. If for instance, as a product was to move, maybe it was 50 naira. If it was supposed to move increment, maybe you should go to 60 naira.
Yes.
But it just got from 50
naira to 100 naira. Exactly.
You see the gap.
Yeah, so you come, madam, why did you decide to put 100 naira? That used to be 50 naira. Well, we cannot sell it for 60 naira.
There's no change.
As if we don't have 20 naira, we don't have 10 naira. Yeah. You hardly see this lower denomination. There's no 5 naira again.
Even 10 naira.
You understand? There's nothing like, so it appears they are no longer our local currency.
And even if you give a child
Whereas we still have
Little
$1.
children, even a child of 1 year has not even started working. You give him 10 naira, look at you.
Yeah.
Look at you again with these mischievous fingers in the eyes and say you because you think I'm a small boy.
Yes.
You think I don't know the kind of money that. That is the point. But Silas, good and fine. Mark has actually given us insight into how these CBN's new withdrawal limits, in addition to the naira redesign, will really help improve the economy and strengthen the naira. But for those who look at it as being political, that it will help curb vote buying and any from certain forms of rigging in the 2023 polls, are we sure that because cash is not flowing physically in circulation, that will stop when in the country where those who are up to voting age all have smartphones, have internet apps, transactions can be flying in e-transaction can take place and vote buying continues without actually physically giving because they didn't stop that. The withdrawal limit does not affect the e-transaction.
Yes. In fact, this one it makes more easy to track. Like Mark said, if any transaction make online, it's easy tracked. If it's cash, you can pay people and nobody knows. But if you move it through the bank, they will know where the source is coming from, where it is going, and for what purpose it is going. It can be checked, it can be investigated, it can be tracked. So that's the advantage of that. So how many people are going to get their account number? You go to those who are coming to line up in the voters queue and say, okay, give me account number. You now go and transfer money to them. Even if you do it from the source is going, the bank will flag and this money, somebody is sending all the kind of bulk money to different people. It can be tracked. The part I even wanted to come to is somebody said it's hilarious but serious. The naira design was also meant to check those who are collecting cash for ransom. Now, someone saying if you're lucky and get kidnapped, you are finished because you cannot raise the kind of money they ask you to the bank. Is that they leave you or they kill you because you can't have access to cash, and if you transfer the money will be going to be traced. Do you understand? So where does you leave the kidnapped victim and his kidnapper who are ready to spill blood? So someone said it's on social media, it was hilarious but also serious. That means because if the man is demanding cash and you cannot raise the cash, how do you pacify him to remove the victim?
Sorry to cut you short, Silas.
Sorry to cut you
short. You continue. Mark, that means apart from the economy and the politics, security-wise, this too will help. Because at the end of the day, it might even eventually end the idea of kidnapping. Because if kidnappers know that they cannot get ransom physically,
you know
what? Stop kidnapping.
Exactly. I think I agree with you.
Yes, except they just want to catch people and kill them.
You know, one major thing is that kidnapping has become a big business. You know, kidnapping has become a big business in this part of the world.
Very lucrative one.
Because people see that what did they pay? You see, they now form armed gangs, what we used to call armed robbers in those days. These days, you rarely hear of armed robbers. You now hear of kidnappers, terrorists, whatever they call them. But if you ask me, it may be difficult, like you said, that the scenario you painted will be more difficult for the kidnapped victim and the family. It will be more difficult because they will have to go and find a way, funny or enough. But again, I think it will, in a way, send a signal to the kidnappers that, okay, these people cannot get this money. It's none of their fault. You can no longer keep money at home. Yes. You cannot withdraw more than 20,000 naira in a day. How many days are you going to give them? 100,000 naira from the bank every day. So will you have to keep them for a year to raise how much of millions of naira?
So you can have a positive effect in that. Those are the few who are going to be victims. Yes. And in the long run, you might discourage people from people if they're not going to get money out of
yes.
Kidnapping will fizzle out.
And two, we don't even pray that kidnapping lasts forever.
Even for them to raise money to buy arms will be difficult too.
Yes.
If they cannot raise much money to
so
what you might see now, what you might see, for some time now, I'm reading on banks, bank theft has reduced a bit.
Of course.
But those who just kidnap somebody and get the money instead of going to the bank to raise their life. Yes. But now, if they cannot kidnap, you may find out people when go to the bank to go and raid banks.
Yes.
That is what you might see happening.
But even in the banks, they will hardly see money. They will hardly see money because what the CBN is doing, the CBN is reducing the quantity of the higher denomination rates that is going to be printing. The CBN said during the last briefing that the quantity of the higher denominations will no longer be as much as the lower denominations. So you will come to the ATM, you will be withdrawing 200 naira.
10
by the time you withdraw 100 naira or 20,000 naira, you see how much it will be. So you prepare.
You have to spend it carefully.
Yeah, honestly, so I think it's a way of starting. Though the value of the naira is dependent on our production capacity as a country. So this cannot affect the value of the naira.
Of course.
But of course, if we now have good systems in place, and then we are able to curb insecurity, I think investment will come, farming activities will resume, and then the economic activities will continue. Will now come back.
But my worry, Silas, is that in as much as we can give it to CBN, enough kudos for them for actually taking this bold move to actually cut down inflation, strengthen the naira, and actually boost the nation's economy. And at the end of the day, even frustrate money-back politicians who are even ready to win in 2023. But what our concern should be those in the rural areas. Most of them don't know anything about internet banking. And we wonder how they will be able to cope up with this.
They will still be able to use. Let you know, be as I'm speaking for the CBN.
No,
but as much as I know,
of course.
But as much as I know, they will still be able to use the ATM machines and the POS. So they will still have access to cash. After all, how many people in the villages, I'm not trying to despise them, how many people in the villages withdraw more than 20,000 a day?
But Sila, where do you see some villages you don't see ATM machines?
So how have they been getting cash?
They go to neighboring villages.
Well, that means we must give it to the Central Bank of Nigeria for this new withdrawal limits. It's set for transactions of a physical kind where you go to withdraw raw cash. And of course, we must actually give it to them for the naira redesign. Because from what our in-house analysts have actually said here, if this is anything to go by, then the CBN has really made a bold move to change what the economy of the country looks like at the moment and strengthen it to make us begin to compete constructively with the developed countries like the US, the UK, Germany, and other countries where their currency are very strong. Thank you for keeping tab with us out there. And of course, I thank our in-house analysts for addressing the big issue accordingly. Join us same time tomorrow for another edition of The Big Issue. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080